All right, guys, it's a little late for the Super Bowl. It's coming up in a few hours, but I just wanted to get it out there for myself to test my evaluation skills and maybe if somebody will watch before the game starts. Big game, obviously. Chiefs going for 3 Super Bowls. Eagles looking for redemption. This is really an exciting game in so many ways, and I'm going to get into some stats. John Gruden did a amazing podcast on this. I'm pulling some of the stats from his podcast, but I want to dial into the ones that I thought that were most important. And I'm going to try to do this score thing at the end. I suck at that. I'm usually pretty good with who wins and who loses, but the point thing, man, not so good. But I got some really great information. If you didn't catch his, and I'm adding some stuff. So get ready for it. This is the end of the season. Let's all hope we are Eagles fans, except if there's any Chief fans out there. One thing before I get into it, doing the live Monday night, 8:45. Come check it out there. I'm going to take a little vacation. I'm in burnout phase. It's part of the reason why I got this thing out so late. My old behind is done. It is tired. And it's so amazing because these players playing all these games, I can't imagine what they feel like. But of course, they're young and super talented. Also, I did a great podcast. I'm going to get it out Wednesday, Thursday with Odarius DeHady, talking about stuff we talked about before, but really him presenting the findings deeper with film. It was one of my favorite podcasts. The guy is a great guy. I screwed up the tech side. He had to redo a couple of things. He's a great person, and he knows his stuff, and you will learn. So come check that out. Also, don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. That's keeping me in the business. That's how this thing is run. I have to learn to be a better marketer, as Steve Malloy told me. So please help me out with that if you haven't already. And if you have, thank you very much. So they're very similar in some ways, but totally different. And it's going to talk about the NFL cycles. It's going to show how units are built and they respond. There's a lot that's going to come out of this game. Hurts, is a pretty good quarterback. He fits perfectly for the system, but he's not Mahomes. So you're going to have one team, which is the Eagles. It's the most talented roster in the NFL. But the quarterback isn't equal to the Chiefs. And they're extremely tough. They run the football. They dominate as far as talent, both sides of the trenches, although the Chiefs are no slouches either, but there are weak spots on their trenches. So you got the GOAT versus talent and toughness. They're the champs. They've been here. It's all house money. There's an easiness to them, but it could also lead to a lack of edge where the Eagles, there's a lot of tightness going on, but they are very, very hungry. Also, Fangio, I think, is great. He's an all-time coach. But Spags and Reed, they definitely have the edge in coaching. Ultimately, I think one of the biggest points beyond the trenches is going to be the tight end battle. The tight ends on both sides are going to play a major part in this, and I'll get into why. Now, Chiefs are historical best 17-1 in one-score games. But you see how tight these games have been this season. And while it shows their tenacity, their clutch character, and their ability to win, to dial up the right plays in the big moment, it's a really close series of games, means that it's not perfect. And at some point, something won't break right. Now, Fangio, on the other side, he's 0-7 versus Mahomes. It's not just him, but there is some issues in the way he runs things with his love for coverage and Mahomes' ability to kind of buy time on the move, to get yards through the run game, first downs, and to kind of hurt this secondary because time is the enemy of his secondary. So how will this play out? Chiefs are number 1 in tackles. They limit big plays, and that's going to be critical. Eagles, though, are plus 27 in turnovers. And the Chiefs have been slightly sloppy from here and there. You've seen that. And so will this Eagles defense be able to create turnovers? Will the Chiefs play a little sloppy or not? It's going to be a big factor. Now, we talk about Tua not being, missed the arm, and he's not. He's not. And the bunch of screens we throw. But I had mentioned this last year, and Odaris had brought it up too. The Chiefs' offense has shifted in a lot of ways to what McDaniel and the Dolphins do. They throw 27% of their passes behind the line of scrimmage. My dog, he wants to add and contribute, but we're going to tell him no. So tied to that 27% behind the line of scrimmage, there have been only 7 pass plays over 10 yards or greater in 2 playoff games. And so this is going to say a ton about what the Chiefs want to do. And it's going to be a big deal for Worthy to get some big plays, because if he can get some big plays and break this framework of tightness, it's going to go a long way to help out the Chiefs. But they do play an ultra-conservative game. And it's so you could see that even guys with big arms, great players, their tendency is to throw short now in many regards. Now, the Chiefs, though, they throw short because they've had some problems on this offensive line. They don't have the great receiving group besides Worthy. I wouldn't say he's great, but his speed's great to break this stuff, so they've had to adapt. Now, Thuney's moved to left tackle. Caliendo, the undrafted rookie, has come in. He's had some wins and he's had some losses, but that left side of the offensive line has some concerns. The right side's pretty good, although Smith, he could be good and terrible. He gets a lot of free calls on his false starts and his weird drops prior to the snap of the ball. But the interior, too, is, I don't know, one of the best. And when Thuney was in there, he was one of the best 3. Humphrey's probably the best center in the league. Smith, free agent soon to be, he's very good. But now that you move Thuney outside, there's that interior weakness. And the worst thing for a quarterback is interior pressure. So how does Caliendo play? How does Thuney play? How does Taylor play? I meant Smith, but it wasn't Smith. I meant Taylor with his weird kicks. So that's going to be very, very interesting. Now the Eagles, they've got only one defensive play all year over 50 yards. And it ties back into the Chiefs' short game and inability to even attempt deep plays. And so while they can march down the field likely, those big plays are huge in a Super Bowl. And at a certain point, marching down the field stalls you out, and they haven't put up tons of points. And it's part of the reason why this offense hasn't been as explosive as it has been in the past. Now, they'll love to throw short. The Eagles, on short passes, only giving 4.1 yards per play. So they're able to limit these short plays. So the defense of the Eagles excels at these short plays, and the Chiefs love to run these short plays. That's going to be a very interesting matchup. Now, the Eagles, they're 56% run. They love the tush push. You saw the Chiefs kind of shut down the Bills big time on those tush push. Bills have been basically unstoppable in their tush push. But they've got a good linebacking group. They've got Tranquil and Bolton and Chanel and Karlatis on the line. And Jones is the best in the league. But there's a little weakness on the other side. So will the Eagles try the tush push? I'm sure they're going to. Can they get it off? And can the Chiefs stop them? It's going to be a huge piece to this puzzle. Now, Spagnuolo is the best blitzer. He knows when to do it. He sets up unbelievable blitzes. You saw what he did to Allen in that last play. The Eagles, despite their great offensive line, have struggled versus the blitz. Some of that is because of the rotation. Now, Dickerson, he was injured playing center. Then he got injured. And Juergens, he was at a bad back, and so they had a backup at left guard. And so some of that is why they struggled. But there has been a proclivity to fail at handling the blitzes. Becton, he's unbelievable, but a little bit off in his pass protection. So how is that going to play out? Is Spags going to get his blitz off, or will the Eagles pick it up? If they pick it up, it could be a problem. Now, the Chiefs have two great safeties, corners. Watson came back. He's been out for a while. He's playing really good. He's going to be fully healthy. And then you got McDuffie. So when you look at the Eagles, they've got Smith and Brown. They're going to get matched up. And so what's that third receiver going to do against the Chiefs' third receiver, nickelback? And that's going to be a big piece to the puzzle as well. So this game, I think, is going to be who screws up. It's always big for the turnover ratio. But if you take that off the table, I still see the Eagles having the edge from a talent standpoint. Although the coaching's better, this game is about talent. And Fangio is deadly serious not to be 0-8. I like the Eagles being able to pound this thing out. I like the talent difference. I like the fact that Hurts can do some stuff to get on a move, to get some yards. There's going to be a lot of problems. And then there's Barkley feeding this football and being patient. When they lost to the Chiefs, it was all about Hurts throwing and running. And it did not work. It was a foolish game plan. But now you got Barkley and Hurts and the pass game and the offensive line and the defensive line and defense. I just think the Eagles are going to win this one. I think it's going to be 30-23 Eagles. I'm not saying they're going to win, but when you look at all this stuff, if the Eagles don't wet the bed, they, I think, are going to end, prayerfully, the three-peat of the Chiefs. Going to be a great game, guys. Is the quarterback the most critical piece? Or is having a good quarterback and a great team the piece for victory? A lot is going to be said here. If Barkley drives his team to a Super Bowl and say gets the MVP, this pass balance cycle is going to accentuate even more because it's going to say, look, it's clear now. Running backs are back. I mean, obviously you need great ones in offensive line, all this other stuff. Or if it fails, well, you know what? Pass balance, but let's lend more to the pass. So enjoy the game. Curtis saying, be well, go Fins. Curtis out. Start building your own online sports book today by getting signed up with aceperhead.com service that'll allow you to book action on sports from all around the world.